The world does keep moving, and it can be a damn cruel place. But for me, those moments of stillness, that place, that's the kingdom of God, and that place will never abandon you. Those are the words that Joe said to Reuben during Reuben's metaphorical relapse into a normal life, quote unquote, and the lesson he didn't learn till the very end of the film. So let's talk about it. The sound of metal. So this film had me thinking a lot, primarily about the many lessons in it that we'll come back to in a second, but also about my bad habit of always blasting music at max volume in the car or in my headphones. Yeah, I should probably lower that a bit before I blow out my ears before the age of 25. Either way, let's start from the top. The story begins with probably the most sound you'll hear in the entirety of the film. A hardcore rock scene centered around Ruben, our main character, and it serves as an introduction to Lou, which in the very next scene we find out is his girlfriend and they are on tour together. Plain and simple context. But the thing to notice here in these couple scenes is the awesome filmmaking. The film makes us listen to his morning routine and the specific sounds of things like his blender and the coffee droplets, so that a couple scenes later when he wakes up and the audio cues are not the same, we know just how severe this loss of hearing is for Ruben. And this is where the film started to give me a feeling of anxiety. And large part of that is due to the fact that we are hearing everything he is. And quick note, I think headphones, or at least a really good speaker system, is necessary to experience the amazing sound design of this movie. But like I was saying, we are in his head, only hearing the extremely muffled echo of the surrounding noise, and all we see from our character is the combined expression of fear and uncertainty. And we as the viewer can only really feel helpless. Because the audience knows this guy's life is about to change drastically, and there's a certain feeling of anxiety knowing that we're about to watch him deal with this loss. And with any major loss, whether it be a family member, a relationship, or in this case, your hearing, there will always be grieving and the emotional stages that come with it. And that's the heart of this movie. And of course, the stages of grief don't come in the same order or way for everyone, but Ruben's first one was definitely denial. We see this when he's at the diner telling Lou that his hearing will come back and he just wants to keep going with the tour and treat it like a slight inconvenience. This scene is also very important because it gives us the context that he's a recovering addict, which raises the emotional stakes when going through this journey with this character. And shortly after this, we're introduced to Joe, and Joe's offer to help Ruben gets denied at first because this change is something he doesn't want right now or thinks he needs right now. And all this buildup leads to one of the most heartbreaking scenes to watch, his breakdown, his anger. It's a release of all that pent-up emotion he had and a feeling of hopelessness, which led him to clear his mind and accept the situation, which brings up a fundamental lesson I believe the filmmakers implemented into this story, which is, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it is what matters. And moving forward in the film, although hard for him at first, Ruben deals with acceptance, and we see his beautiful development and integration to this deaf community, in which he makes friends, a home, and eventually becomes a very important person to those around him. But of course, the story just can't end there. Once he steps back inside his old home with Lou, he is reminded of what he's lost, and he begins to bargain this new life, this new situation that we thought he found peace with, but unfortunately, elements of his past addictive personality start to leak through, and he sells everything he owns to go back to the life he thinks he wants. And like most stories about addiction, he ends up hurting those around him that care for him. And all the viewer can do is watch him sacrifice everything for a problem that he forgot wasn't a handicap. It's not something to fix, Joe says. And once Ruben is thrown back into society, we get a be careful what you wished for situation. Nothing is how he wanted it to be. His hearing isn't the same, and neither is Lou, which is when the harsh reality of the world having moved forward, leaving his old life behind, hits him, and he finally understands the gift of that stillness that Joe was talking about. And although we know our character made an error, when he takes off the hearing device, we know he has learned to see things in a new perspective and finally come around to accept his situation for the better. finishing the film off on a peaceful and hopeful note, a complete opposite from those first couple of minutes. Overall, I thought this was an awesome film, with awesome writing and a great look into the deaf community and how they learn and live together and make bonds, which is something we hardly see depicted in movies. Also awesome to see deaf actors like Lauren Ridloff get more shine. It took me a second to realize I recognized her from The Walking Dead, but the point is that it's great to see so much representation of people from different communities and them being included into meaningful stories. And to finish off, I have to applaud the sound designers of this movie. The switching of perspective from Ruben to his surroundings elevated the way in which the story was made, especially the scene with Ruben and one of the kids on the slide banging on the metal and therefore connecting in a way they can only both relate. Just a fantastic movie in my opinion. So that's gonna conclude it. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe for more content like this and feel free to recommend me things to watch down in the comments. Bye.